Sam FM back for episode 2 of, I guess, my series with the MLS Houston Dynamo. And I know last video was kind of long, so I'm going to try and from now on keep them shorter, 15 minutes maybe. And I also thought what I would do is take, for the first few episodes at least, each episode kind of cover a different aspect of the Major League Soccer squad. This episode, I was going to focus on the reserve player, start from the bottom of the roster. And so an MLS squad has 30 players, 20 of which are what you call your senior players, or they are your on-budget players. They count fully against the cap, whereas the reserve players are your off-budget roster, make up part of your off-budget roster. So you have 20 senior roster players, and then you have 10 off-budget roster players, or 10 off-budget squad players. On your off-budget squad, 6 of those can be reserve players. Now, the first thing to cover is that when you hear reserve, for most leagues around the world, what that means is those are players on the reserve squad, the B team, whatever you want to call it. In MLS, it's not that way. There is no more MLS reserve division. That was ended 4 or 5 years ago. So what reserve players are? First of all, you can only have a maximum of 6. So let's look at our registration, and let me just change it to the MLS registration so that we can see the rules. So here you see maximum of 6 reserve players. So these players, again, are off-budget players, meaning they don't count against the salary cap. So you're not as – it doesn't hurt you as much if these are players who don't contribute. You want your 20 senior players to be contributors. You want to be able to put them onto the field and for them to produce. There's a little more wiggle room. You can take some chances on reserve players because they're not going to count against your salary cap anyway. So you can have 6 reserve players. These players have to have, their contract is $55,000 a year, so it's not a big commitment. They're not going to swallow up your budget. They have to be 24 years old or younger, so they can't be any older than 24. And again, maximum of 6. And this year, something new, a change to MLS rules. They're trying to get clubs to invest more in their academies. And so you can now, of those 6, if you have 6 reserve players on your squad, 2 of them must be homegrown players. As you see here, maximum of 4 non-homegrown reserve players. So if you don't have any homegrown reserve players, then you can only have 4 reserves. And the idea again there is to try and encourage clubs to at least use 2 of those spots on homegrown players. So some clubs neglect their academies, don't really try to sign any players, don't put enough investment into their academies. And so MLS wants to try and encourage that. And so so that's what they do. So I'm looking over my notes here just to make sure that I cover everything there is to cover about reserve players. One place that and this is, I guess, my personal use of reserve players. If I can, when I draft players, I try to get them on a reserve roster. Obviously, the first picks; those are going to be your most elite players in the draft. You're not going to be able to get them to sign reserve contracts. But if I can trade and get 5-6 draft picks in a single super draft, I will do that, and then I'll draft all those guys, and then I'll try and get 10, 12 reserve players. If I get that many, then I'll loan out some of the ones that I don't think are ready to be on the full squad. I'll send them to RGV, my affiliate, or I'll loan them out to another USL club. I I do try to find a place where I think they'll actually get to play so that they'll develop. But I'll loan those guys out. Whereas, obviously, sometimes you'll get some guys on the reserve roster that will be able to contribute. And when you get deeper into play in MLS and when you're having to compete in Champions League, if you're trying to win the cup, it's good to have reserve players who can contribute, who can be productive. And so that covers reserve players. That they don't demand a high salary. Obviously, $55,000 a year. You can get some Generation Adidas players. I'm sorry, actually no. Generation Adidas players cannot be reserve players, and we'll cover that when I kind of get to the draft. But that kind of covers reserve players. So if you have questions about the reserve players, by all means, ask in the comments, and I will look those over and respond whenever I get the chance. So looking at my squad, I did make a couple of changes since the last video. We'll look at transfers and start showing my transfer history. Duh. So I was not able to get Leo Duarte. Unfortunately, that one fell through. I felt pretty good about getting him, but I couldn't. So what I did, though, is I might have found an even better option. From Cruzeiro, I got Murillo loaned in, and I'm probably butchering both of those pronunciations. Again, I am very American. But Murillo is a solid defender. He's a good tackler, relatively strong. He's decent jumping, decent heading, and he's young. So at 19 years old, he still has time to develop. And I'll do this. I'll loan in a player and see how he does. And if I can, I'll try and get a second loan and get him for a couple of years. And a lot of times it works. Sometimes not. It could be that Coritiba wants him to be in the first team, and so they won't loan him back. Sometimes I'm able to buy a loan player. But Murillo was another one that was brought to me by my scouts. My scouts also actually wasn't a scout; it was an agent deal. Julio Rush, his agent, it was an 18-year-old, came over from Coritiba. He is a very solid center midfielder, which I'm relatively strong there. But this guy was good enough to where I felt like I needed to lock him down. He's not. Well, you look at his decisions. So he makes great decisions, and that's important for a center midfielder. He anticipates pretty well. He's not super strong. He's not like a super passer, but he does have pretty good vision. He's got a very good work rate at 14. That's a good work rate for an MLS player that's only 18 years old. So he's immediately going to step into my center midfield and contribute. And none of that. He's only 18. And I locked him down for 3 seasons, 2017, 18, and then the 2019 season. And the truth is, I'll probably sell him before I sign the next contract. Because a player this good, he's gonna contribute. He's gonna do well. He's gonna rate high, and somebody's gonna come and want him. And I'm gonna sell him and get a lot more than what I paid. I did pay $1.3 million, which that is a lot for an MLS club buying a player, but already you look at his value, it's $2.3 million. So if somebody comes in and offers me $2.3 million, I can sell him and make $1 million. So obviously part of that will go to MLS. It's just the way the league works, and we'll talk about transfers and such in MLS later. But that was a good deal for me. And then I don't remember if I mentioned this or not in the last video. I don't think that I did, because I was looking for I needed another homegrown player, and my back line is weak, and so luckily I had this guy Eduardo Ortega. He not a super great rating right now, and as you can tell by his ratings, he's not gonna play much. I may end up loaning him out to RGV, or even maybe back to the academy, which doesn't usually work, but I'll try it. But I'll get him in when I can. I did need help on the back line, my left back especially. I'm super old there, and so I need to improve that. This will be Beasley's last season, and so next year if Arteaga is good enough, I'll start him, but probably he'll have to play behind Remick. But he is fast. I did like that. That was the kind of the first thing that jumped out at me. I like my fullbacks to be quick. Would like for his acceleration to get better, but he does kind of help me to fulfill my squad requirements. So that was my transfer so far. The only guys who went out, which right now I like to do this when I loan players out. I don't like looking at my loan players, so I'll check the not at box to hide them, or not at club box. But just so that you can see, I loaned out Charlie Ward to RGV and also Manny Padilla. These are guys, the truth is, I probably could have just waived them and released them, got rid of them. But I'm always looking to help the RGV, help them to succeed, do well. So this was there, give them a couple guys to hopefully help their season. So with all that blah blah blahing done, let's first of all recheck my not a club box, and let's look at this game. So we're going to play Austin Aztecs. They're the host of this tournament we're in. This is a preseason tournament. Doesn't mean anything, and I don't really care if I win it, but I do. We try. We're going to try to win. We're going to play to win. But if I lose, I'm not really going to sweat it. It's really more about getting our tactical awareness up, improving our fitness. Looking at Austin, they're not. I don't have a lot of information on them because they've not played many matches yet. But I'm not really too worried about any of these guys. They're not really a great squad. So I'm playing my second team in the first match, which, because of injuries and such, a couple of those second team, like De La Garza, is starting for this team, even though he would normally start with my first team. Same thing with Elise. Injuries here and there have caused me to have to reorganize a little bit, but that's okay. So we're going to send the second team and try and beat Austin. Obviously, it tells me De La Garza and Alvarez are lacking in fitness, but this tournament is about gaining fitness, and they're going to make me give numbers to these guys. So I'll go ahead and do that. Try to get them as close as I can to the number that they want, and I don't really care about the rest. So I'm going to start normal. I've had to. One thing I've noticed in my friendlies is that my back line is not right now capable of pushing up. So I'm going to have to let them sit back a little bit. I'm not going to drop them back, but I'm going to just play them at the normal level, see how that goes. Tell the guys that if they play their game, we'll win. And I usually just go with I think there's much more to come from you. Believe you got what it takes. Try to be positive in the pre-match. And usually it works pretty well. Get a couple guys at least to be happy. Again, looking at my tactics, play my 4-3-3, and we'll make sure that my back line is slightly higher. They can't handle that right now. If we get behind, I'll go to it, but for now I'm going to drop that down to normal. And other than that, though, I'm going to leave it the way it is, see how it goes. We have the little march out. I do kind of like the additions they've made to the pre-game. That's not good from Alexander. Not a great first pass. Looks like Austin is not. They're playing pretty standard. They're not coming at me. They've only got one fullback on support. Their others is defending. And we get the first shot, and it was on target, so that's good. I one of the things I like to do. I don't like my guys taking long shots. Well, that's a bad giveaway. Saved by Nelson, who's really not that good. I don't like even my wingers and my strikers taking a bunch of long shots. So I usually have them. I have them. I take away lower their shooting. If they, and again, this is a preference thing. You can do it however you want. But if I have a player who's got like an 18 or 19 in long shots, then I'll put it on mixed. I never tell anybody to take lots of shots. I don't want people rifling shots from distance. I'd rather keep the ball and work it and get a good. The players that I go to sign, I look for players who can play a possession passing game, and so I would rather play that game because that's the team that I've tried to assemble. That have somebody pop a shot from 25, 30 yards every time he gets it there. So, and they've got a guy injured, a couple of yellows already. My personal feeling on tackling, I don't like to go hard tackling. I usually just go normal. Maybe if I have a really good tackler with good decisions, I'll put it on hard. But it's been a while since I've done that. And Elise gets us our first goal. Albert Elise, yes, 1-0. This is kind of a rival. Austin is also in Texas, where Houston is. That's one that they just failed to clear. Usually have whipped crosses in. I don't like those. Here's our corner. Oh, and goal off in a corner. Set piece. That's good. I'm going to watch Austin to see what they do, but I don't really see any reason to change anything. That was Funamayor. He's a new player. He's young. He's got pretty good potential to be a contributing MLS player. Almost had an own goal. Maybe we get another goal on a corner. I've got a few different corner routines. Rashidi's, I stole his. I'll just tell you that right now. I'm not a self-made tactician. Everything I've learned about everything I know about tactics, I've learned from guys like Cleon, WW Fan. I haven't seen him around in a while, but a lot of what I do, and I'll talk about that a little bit in the second half, I got from him, a lot of the principles. So we go into the half up 2-0. Obviously dominating shots on target. The one shot they had was from a really terrible giveaway. We've dominated possession, so I'll just go to the dressing room, tell the guys I'm pleased, and I have also like how now I can select the guys that I want. Anybody that doesn't give me a good response, I like to select them and then be positive. Yeah, we'll go with this. All right. So let's go win this thing. So yeah, like one thing that I always do is from one of my old WW Fan principles that I learned was the defensive triangle. So I always have 3 guys on defensive duty, and so this could be bad. Good save by Nelson. May need to drop back a little bit. So my 2 center backs, and in this formation, I have a defensive midfielder. Those guys are on defend. I've got 1 center back on cover, and maybe in a future episode I'll talk about my backline setup. But cover is basically an even more defend role. So that gives me my defensive triangle. Always having 3 guys on back, and Elise makes it 3. That should kill the game. And with these tournaments, I do the same thing. It's just a part of my regular preseason process. So all 11 of these guys, I'm going to let them play the full 90. And then when we play the next match, which will hopefully be the final, hopefully I don't blow it from here on. In the final, I'll play the next 11 90 minutes. And so, so yeah. I'm looking. Austin's not really changing what they're doing. It looks like they'd maybe drop both fullbacks onto defend. They're about to get a guy sent off. Goodbye. See ya. Early bath. They've had 2 guys sent off. So on that, I will go really wide, because that means I'm going to have lots of space out wide. Increase my passing just a little bit. Maybe push the tempo some. And let's go and run it up on them, right? Yeah, because they're way sitting back. They are a hard tackling bunch. Oh, and Elise is hurt. Oh, that hurts. Oh, it's a bad injury to have in a game like this. He's going to be my starting striker. Tell him You got what it takes, buddy. Go out there and hold a 3-0 lead against a 9-man team for 10 minutes. You better be able to do that. You should be able to do that on your own. That was a bad giveaway. I have noticed I'm not crazy about my team's determination, and probably that has a little effect here. I think we're up 3-0, 10 minutes to go, and they kind of quit. And Alexander with a goal. It's a good way to make up for that first pass of the game. Nice shot. See the replay here. Oh, that was a good ball from Stevie's. Already they're playing pretty good. They're playing pretty close to how I would like for them to play during the season. Truth is, the preseason, you can't really get very much, especially for me. I don't really make many changes. Here and there I might do some stuff. But for the most part in the preseason, we're just playing with the regular system, seeing how it goes. And I'm probably not going to play the final in this, so you guys will have to just read about the final. So a nice dominant performance, 65% possession. We scored 4 goals on only 2 clear-cut chances. Pretty satisfied with that. Go to analysis. Yeah, heat map looks really good. Yeah, that is a good, strong match. We'll go to the dressing room, tell the guys. Very pleased with the result, your performance. Well done. Let's go bring home the trophy. All right, so that'll be episode 2. Any questions? Throw them down in the comments. When we come back next time, I'll probably have played the final, and then we'll go into probably I'm going to look at Generation Adidas and homegrown players. I could probably smash that into one episode, and we'll probably be at the end of the preseason, getting ready to start the MLS season. Maybe the first game we'll show the first. Sorry, my phone's buzzing there. We'll look at the first. We'll watch the first game to see how ready my team is for the MLS season. So, this is Uncle Sam saying farewell.